Hi everyone, welcome to today's webinar on the art of feedback technical writing edition. This is Sheba and I'll be your co-host for tonight. Now I'm delighted to introduce our speaker Sneha Pandey, who is a technical writer from OpenText. So Sneha has over 8 years of experience in simplifying complex concepts through user-focused documentations, and today she'll be sharing insights on how to give and receive constructive feedback in technical writing to enhance collaboration and improve documentation quality. With that, I'll hand it over to Sneha. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shiba. Thank you so much for having me. So, hi everyone. I am Sneha Pandey, and as Shiba introduced, I work for OpenText as a technical writer, and I've been working as a technical writer and an editor for over 8 years now. And today we are here to discuss about the most powerful tool that I have realized in technical writing, that is feedback. So, what do we mean by feedback? Is it something that we just say people that oh hi you're looking good, or is it something that we actually say people to help them? Feedback, as Glenn Blackard said, that is the breakfast of champions, which means when done right, it's timely, thoughtful, and clear. It's not just about improving your work or your document. It is a tool that can come handy, that can be a great result, that can give a great result during user documentation. So, moving ahead, for today's webinar, what we'll be talking about? One, we'll talk about how to give clear, actionable feedback on technical documents. Second, we'll talk about how to receive and apply feedback effectively. Third, we'll talk about what are the common pitfalls in the feedback loop. And then finally, we'll talk about the tools and technique. So, what do we mean by feedback? Is it sharing an opinion, giving a suggestion, offering a constructive feedback, or all of the above? Well, if you ask me, it's all of the above. It's a combination of expertise. It is something that we talk. For example, when an SME asks, did you mean post or put? Or when a product manager says that this doesn't match what we shipped. Or even when one of your peers suggests a different structure, and even when your intern or a new hire repeatedly asks you, what does SSO mean and why have we written SSO here? So that is what feedback means. It is not about the opinion. It is how you grow. It is how you grow your document, how you grow as a technical writer, or how you grow as any profession. Feedback is a common tool even in development. When you create a feature, you need feedback from users, you need feedback from your peers, you need feedback from your project manager. For example, as a technical writer, I'll take the example of a document. So if I say someone that this document is good, but if I were you, I would use more examples. It is an opinion. Maybe the document does not require the example. Maybe the document is a simple user centric, feature centric document, which is just about explaining the feature. Whereas if I say that this document follows the OT standards of accessibility, but I think you should verify it with the style guide. It is about making the document better or enhancing the document. That's what feedback means. It is an information that will improve something in your work, whether that is your documentation, whether that is your day to day tasks, or just your work. So, why feedback matters? Feedback, a lot of people think that if I am in the position to give feedback, I have got the authority to maybe change something. Maybe I am getting a higher position, or I am getting a higher stand than the other person, and that is why I am being asked for feedback. But that is not exactly what feedback means. As technical writers, we are translators. We take complexities and make it usable for people. We don't do that in isolation. I mean, we depend on reviewers, we depend on peer reviews, we depend on SME reviews, we depend on product managers. Sometimes we also depend on users. So, a good feedback can lead to fewer support tickets, better onboarding, faster adoption, and happy users. And as technical writers, if your documentation reaches the right audience, if your documentation serves the purpose, you did something good. So, feedback literally improves the accuracy of your work, and it gains the user trust. If I am a user, if suppose, for example, I am reading the documentation of WhatsApp, and someone somewhere, when a technical writer or a writer was creating the document for WhatsApp, if they would not have explained the feature of the one time photo disappearing, I would never understand that what that one means. Maybe just assuming that maybe they made some mistake, or maybe they wrote it in such a way that their peer said that, hey, as a user, I cannot really understand what you mean here. That's what we call feedback. It's about creating a healthy environment, and it also builds the team's trust. If I am working with a team, if I go and ask one of my senior writers or even one of my peers that, hey, I think I have written this chunk of documentation here, this is the feature, I have written this, can you just read and see from a user perspective, from someone who doesn't know this product, whether you're able to understand this better? That improves the document. Because, well, we are all writers. When we write something, we take ownership, and a lot of times we have this mentality that I know English, I know this product, I know this feature, so I think I've written my best. But many a times it may not be the best for the user. So that's what feedback does, and that's why feedback matters. Now, you may ask why it is very different for technical writing. Feedback is important for every process, whether it's development, whether it's art, whether it's me giving a webinar today. I would need your feedback that how I presented, whether I was successful in sharing my message. But in technical writing, it is slightly different. Feedback in technical writing is very different from long blog posts or this webinar. It has a purpose. The goal of technical writing is not just to inform the users, but it is to help people complete a task. I am writing the documentation for a purpose. Second, we have a set of target audience. Many readers might be specialists or experts, but we often have non experts. For example, I got this example from one of my seniors that WhatsApp documentation. Me as someone who knows technology, who knows WhatsApp, I may not go and read the documentation of WhatsApp. But there may be someone out there who's not very tech savvy or who doesn't even have basic knowledge of technology. For them, the feature of WhatsApp would be in that documentation. We have a set of audience when we are writing a documentation. Third is style. For us, for technical writing, the style cannot be some flowery language or something that we can create on our own. We cannot really show our creative skills there. There, it has to be clear, concise, and consistent. If we have used a particular term in the first page of the documentation, that term stays throughout the documentation. We cannot change that, because a user, when reading the documentation or performing the task, may get confused. And finally, the structure. The structure of technical writing is slightly different from creative writing, because technical writing or technical documentations are often modular, and they are designed to be reused. A lot of us, when we write or when we create technical documentation, we have versions of it, because every product, every feature updates in quite a few years or months or even sometimes weeks. So we have a certain structure, and it is very version control. So that means when we give feedback in technical writing, we are not just seeing the tone or grammar or structure of the content. We are asking that, will this help the reader and in completing their tasks? Is the information accurate and up to date? Could this confuse someone with no context? And that's why feedback of technical content is a skill. It's not just a favor that you do to your peer or your juniors or your seniors. I hope everyone. I'm not going too fast, and everyone is with me. Okay, so moving ahead. Now, when we talk about technical writing, there are certain challenges. There are a lot of differences in different forms of writing. In technical writing, the first challenge is explaining complex concepts very clearly. I am not saying that we need to explain the feature or the complex ideas in the simplest way, but it has to be clear. It has to have clarity. For example, when documenting API authentication flow, it's easy to get too technical or too vague because but the goal of creating that API's authentication flow is to find that spot where the reader understands without feeling overwhelmed. They should not feel that I'm getting too much information, or they should not also feel that, oh, I cannot even understand this. Second thing is jargons, which is a very important thing. Terms like SDK, SSO, it comes as a second nature to us as technical writers because we have been using it, we have been talking to developers, we are part of the demos of features. But for readers, it may not be the same. They may not know what SSO means, or they may be confused about what SSO means. If I am performing a task and I am reading a document, I am already multitasking. So every time I as a technical writer use a jargon, I am confusing the user because they're already confused. They have to see the document and then they have to perform the task. So that is another thing that we have to define the terminologies, the technologies, the cloud technologies, especially very clearly. Third, we are writing for mixed audience. Our content has to be clear, but not very common, but not too technical. It has to be somewhere in between where we are addressing the technical audience as well and non-technical audience like our parents or our grandparents or even business analysts very easily. Fourth is to keep the tone, the format, and terms consistent. One of the criteria in our team when we review each other's work, one of the first things that we see is whether the tone of the document is similar. Many a times in one document there could be five people writing or five people working on the document, but keeping that tone, making sure that I have a similar tone, I am writing in a similar style, I am following my organization's style guide to create the document. I am being consistent with my commas. If I am using a word, if there's a word that's been in uppercase throughout the document, even if I joined after 3 years of the documentation, I would use the same terminology, same uppercase, same formatting, and at least try to have a similar tone. These are some of the challenges which usually comes in technical writing. Though these are not exactly challenges that cannot be addressed, but these come with practice and these are achieved when you get constant feedback. I joined an organization. There's a documentation that's been done for say 5 years. I joined in between somewhere third year or fourth year or fifth year. I know about the documentation, I know about the product, but I'll start working for the current feature or the current release. For me, it'll take time for one release, two release, three release to be consistent with my tone and formatting, to be perfect, to have that on spot formatting and tone. And that I can only achieve if I get regular feedbacks, if I get regular reviews, if I read the documents and ask questions. That's also a form of feedback. I am asking questions, I am asking my peers that, hey, you have been working on this document for 5 years and I have just arrived, I have written this chunk of document, this chunk of content. Do you think it matches the tone? So they would say you that I think your tone is good, but maybe you missed this consistency of the terminology because we do not use this. Maybe we follow Chicago style, or we follow our own style, or we follow Microsoft style guide. So this does not adhere to it. I may be using a different style guide in my previous organization. And that comes as a practice when I'm joining my next documentation, my next organization, or even my next product. So that would be achieved only if I get consistent feedback. So, principles of effective feedback. Before that, I would talk about the different types of reviews that we have. Now, one of the review could be your peer review. The other review could be your SME review. That includes developers, QAs, product managers. Another review could be managerial review. Maybe you're working individually on a product and you can just send your document to your manager to read because they are more experienced. They would be able to say you exactly where you are lacking. The fourth could be an editor review, which is just giving and checking the overview of the documentation, whether your tone is good, whether your grammar is good, whether you have used the terms consistently. And one is legal and compliance review, which could see accessibility, whether you are compliant with the accessibility guidelines, whether you have not used any piece of content from maybe copied from somewhere. Nowadays there's AI, so that is another review that we do, that this particular chunk of content is not AI written. And while we talk about these type of reviews, there are certain principles that every reviewer or every person who gives a feedback follows. One, when giving a feedback, especially to the writers, you have to give an example. You have to be very specific. For example, when you're giving a feedback, there are simple principles that really make difference. You focus on one section, you focus on one sentence, and you clearly say that maybe your language is good, but this should be written in a certain way, which is there in our style guide. Be consistent, be very specific, not something like I have seen people giving reviews or writing that hey, your sentence is not really making sense. That does not help. That really does not. Why it's not making sense? Why is this section vague for you? So you have to be very specific. Second is you have to be objective, because you are focusing on writing, you are focusing on the documentation, you are focusing from user's perspective. You are not focusing on the writer. You cannot really say that you're a bad writer, or you don't even know this, you don't even know how to format a table. That's not. Every person has their own set of strengths and weaknesses. Every person has used different. I may have used a different style guide in a different scenario. When I come to you, I am using a different style guide. You cannot say someone that you don't even know this is there in the style guide. That that really kind of insults the writer. So you have to focus on writing. You are giving feedback on the content, on the documentation, on the tone, not on the writer. Third thing is to be actionable. By actionable, I mean when you're reading a document, you get a document to peer review, you read a feature documentation that's been done, and you say this is wrong. But why is it wrong? What makes it wrong? What is the improvement that needs to be done? So these are the things you have to be very clear, because when I get the document back, I will read that there's a comment that this is wrong, but I do not know what is wrong in that. Why did you give me that comment? So I'll go and ask you that what is wrong, then we'll sit, we'll talk about it. It's better you just write that this feature, I as per me, as the demo that I have seen, this feature does not work in this way, it works in a certain way. Maybe we can get on a call if there's an issue, but can you please see the demo again and improve this, and we can get back. So you have to give an actionable feedback. Fourth, and very important, which a lot of times we ignore, is to be timely. If I am a peer and I get to review a documentation and I do not have time, I do not have bandwidth, I give it to someone else. I delegate my task, or I delegate this reviewing to someone else. I cannot sit with the document for 2 days and say, yes, I'll be taking a look at it, because that's a time waste for the person who's documenting, that's a time waste for the product that is being documented, and that's also your trust goes off that I gave this document for the person, but he takes 2 days for reviewing, and he does not even give me a solution, or he does not even give me a proper review. So you have to be very timely. Technical documentation is about time. We are very release bound, we are version bound, we have to produce it in a certain timeline, and that is very very important, as important as documentation itself. And fifth, you need to be respectful. You can't say this doesn't make sense. You That's the tone, the way of saying is wrong. You can say, instead you can say that, could you break this process into two steps, or can we discuss more on it? What did you mean about it? Can you clarify this term for new users? You can be more friendly, you can give solution. Like I said, it's more about improvements, so it has to be solution oriented tone and a friendly tone. Because a lot of time when we get feedback, the first thing that comes to mind is, oh, I made a mistake. That happens, that's human nature. 50% or 70% of people have that mentality. when when someone gets a document after review, the first thing that we see is comments, and then if we see that, oh, there's 10 red marks here, the first thing that comes is, oh, I made such silly mistakes. It could happen, but if you are saying it in a friendly way, after you have sent the review, after you have put the comments, you can just politely say that, hey, I read your document, it seems good, but there are a couple of places that you need to improve. I've added my comments, you can go through it. If you have any issues, maybe we can discuss further of it, or if you think that you do not agree with it, maybe we can have a conversation. So you need to be friendly when giving a feedback. You need to respect the person, because that person during documentation has put a lot of efforts. And while they know that they may or may not get comment, it is kind of an extra effort for them to go through again, to rewrite it. Maybe sometimes they'll have to go through their style guide again to create the document properly or to make the changes. So being respectful is very 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 important, whether it's your junior, whether it's your peer, whether it's someone out of your organization, your developer, whether even if it is someone who's not very fluent with the language. Even then, you cannot really say that, or even behind them, that they don't even know English. A lot of developers, a lot of SMEs, they are not very fluent with the language. And sometimes they give the documentation in such a way that it's a nightmare for the documentation team or the writer to make changes in that. That's just their way. They have put efforts. So let's be respectful for people's effort while giving feedback. Moving ahead, some of the best practices that I have learned from the best, I have learned from my seniors and team. Start with what's working. Start with something which is useful, that tells the writers what to do more. Like, just say that, maybe start with style guide, go through the grammar, or maybe your tenses have a problem. Start with what works well with the documentation team or the writer. The second thing here, it is also that maybe sometimes when you give review comments in the documents, it may not really work well. So the writers may just go and see the review comments, they may just accept it or make the changes, but they may not know why they are making those changes, why this is written in a particular way. Get on a call, maybe talk to them that these are the review comments, and this is how we do here, or this is how it is done in the feature. So maybe I thought I could go through the whole process with you again. Start with what works well. Second is, prioritize what matters. You cannot, when you get a document, you cannot go through each and everything word by word a lot of times. So what is the priority for you? It could be the structure, it could be what the feature means, it could be clarity or logic, it could be consistency. So prioritize it, that first, while I have got this document for reviewing, I am taking a look at the structure. I am seeing that if the feature is totally explained properly, and work accordingly. What I usually do, and that's one practice that I've started and it works really well for me, is creating a checklist. First, is the feature explained properly? Second, am I adhering to the style guide? Third, is my language okay? Fourth, is it consistent with the whole document process? So you can create a checklist of your own and do the review accordingly. Third is asking clarifying questions. Many a times we do peer reviews for people who are not of our same product or they are not of our teams, but we are doing the review as peer writers. So if you don't understand a feature and you think that this scenario should not be in certain way, don't make the change or don't just comment on it. Ask them that maybe in my product or maybe in so and so scenario we usually write the cloud terminology as this, but you have mentioned this, so do you think this is correct? Maybe that is correct. So ask those clarifying questions that do you think a diagram or an architectural diagram would make more sense here when we are explaining the process? So if those questions help the documentation, those questions help the writers, those questions make you into a keep you into a respectable position that I am getting something useful or something fruitful from the reviewer. Then using consistent formatting and tools, like I said before, create a checklist. When you are giving comments, many a times we use Google Docs as one of our reviewing system. So there we have the option of tracking changes, giving inline comments, track those changes. If you are using Google Docs, stay and stick to Google Docs. That helps. That will help you maintain the consistency. That will also help the writers. That will help the overall team. So create one process. If you are using Confluence, if you are using Google Docs, you can just keep using that. And lastly, you should focus on readers' experiences and goal. When you are reviewing a document, you are a reader, you are seeing it from a user's perspective. So I think I've said this for nth time now. Technical documentation is all about user perspective. It's all about helping your users, whether technical or non-technical. So when you're reading, when you're reviewing the document, you have to see it from a reader's perspective. You have to see if all the goals that you started writing, that the documentation was written for, is met. Because it's not just the reviewer, it's not just the writer, it's ultimately the readers, it's ultimately the target audience that you are talking about. Okay, some of the technical feedback focus areas we have talked about. This is very similar to processes. That is clarity. The one question, these are certain questions, these are certain checklists that I follow. That is the content easy to understand? Is the chunk of feature documentation that I have done that is easy for me to understand? If my peer has written it, am I able to understand? Am I able to relate? Am I able to perform the functions when I go to the product? Then it's accuracy, because technical document is all about facts, it's about the data to be accurate, it's about procedures and steps that has to be totally in line with the product, so that has to be maintained. Then consistency is the key for technical writing, for any documentation for that matter of fact. You have to be consistent throughout the document. You cannot write in a certain voice in the first half of the document and then suddenly if there's a second author writing, they cannot change the voice there. It has to be consistent, it has to have a uniform style, the terminologies should be similar. For example, if server is used in your document, it has to be server throughout. It cannot, you cannot suddenly change it to the instance. As a user, I would be confused that I was working on server, I was making configurations for the server, how did the instance come here? So it has to be consistent. Then completeness. When we are documenting, one of the key things that we also write is notes, cautions, references, maybe terminology definitions. So those have to be very accurate. If I am giving a warning that if you do not authenticate your OAuth authenticator, you would not be able to sign into this particular product. That has to be very clear. That has to have, for example, in many tools you have different tags for it. You can change the font of it, you can change the color of it, for cautions, for warnings, for key steps, you can highlight it. So the completeness is really important. So you also have to see that while you are reviewing. And then conciseness, that maybe a lot of times we are writing something which is redundant. Maybe in release 1 I had documented about authentication of a certain authenticator, and in release 2 I have a different feature which uses the same authentication. So instead of again writing those steps, instead of again putting it there, the whole content, I can reuse the content. I can just say see more, or see refer to this particular area or particular section to understand more about authentication. So the conciseness is important. So these are couple of things that I would see when I am reviewing a document, and based on that I would give technical feedbacks. If it is not clear, if the terminology is not clear, if the term is not accurate, I would say that I am not able to understand, I could not do the authentication, or while I was reading this documentation I did not understand why we have repeated this authentication process again here. So asking questions, or giving, when giving feedback, saying that hey, you can reuse this content, because a lot of tools allow that. A lot of, even in Google Docs, even if you are documenting in Google Docs, you have the option to link it. So do that. You can just say that I found this content redundant, maybe it is in, or maybe it is in passive voice. Being a technical writer, do you think we should use active voice in the documentation? In first page there's a graphical representation of this workflow, I think we should add a graphical representation of this workflow here as well. That will have consistency. So these are technical feedbacks. These are not just about your tone, your grammar, or your style guide. It's more about the accuracy of documentation. It's more about how a technical document would be more better. Now, how to receive feedback, that's one of the most important. And that is something that, first thing when I get a feedback, I always make sure to think that this is not about me. This feedback is not about me. It's not about me as a person. It's not about me as a writer. It's about a document. A document is being reviewed. So you have to have an open mind. You have to accept the feedback. Especially it is very obvious that you have put hours of efforts in your documentation, and when you get a lot of review comments you are frustrated. But it's not about you. It's about making it better. It's about creating user documentation. It's about creating a proper enhanced process for a user. And then ask questions. If you think that this particular comment does not really align with the goals that you had in your mind while writing, or does not align with the goals of the product, then maybe ask question that I did not understand your comment. Can you please help me understand it? Don't just accept all these suggestions. Don't accept, or don't just make changes based on the comments that you get, because that's not how you will develop. That's not how your document will develop. Maybe if you are clear about why you got this comment, next time when you are documenting it, you will have that in your mind, because you've had a conversation about it. You know how to do it. You now know the process. So ask questions when you are unclear, and look out for patterns. There is a release note that I have been giving for peer reviews for 3 releases, and I have noticed that one of the spellings, I always make this particular spelling mistake when I am writing, because when I'm typing fast, I make the spelling mistake, and I do not, when I'm doing a self review, I do not care to see that word because it's such a minor common word. But when I am seeing that for past 3 releases, this is the comment I am getting, or suppose for serial commas, that I have not been using serial commas and I'm getting consistently the comments. It's a very small thing. It's something that you can miss out of just negligence, or something that you can miss in your self review as well. But if you are seeing that you are getting regular comments for 3 releases, in the fourth release, when you are working on the document, that should be your first thing when you check for your self review. That I have been getting this comment that the spelling of the is not really correct every time. Instead of the, I write teh because I'm typing really fast, and I did not see it because who would make a mistake? Who would make such silly mistake? But for the fourth release, I would go and I would check that I make such silly mistakes. I would go and check that whether I've put the serial commas. I would go and check that in the last two releases, the name of this feature was in uppercase and I have been writing in lowercase. Did I write it in uppercase? So if it is a pattern, if you are getting consistent comment on it, that should be your first thing when you are seeing, when you are doing a self review. And if you are getting, if the fourth time, if you are getting the same comment, you do not have to put yourself down that I how did I make such silly mistake. That happens. But it is not about making mistakes. Making mistakes is a part of human, right? But technical writers making mistakes in language could totally hamper the user documentation, could totally hamper the user flow. So it is very important to take care of the patterns, to keep the patterns in mind, that what are the review comments, what are the consistent review comments that I have been getting for past couple of releases or past couple of versions. That should be your revision. Fourth is, don't respond defensively. Like we started, it's not about you, it's about the documentation. So if your peer, if your senior, if your manager, or even if your SME comes and says to you that this is not how this should be written, and this is not how I want it in the documentation, ask them. Don't go fighting with them. I have seen a lot of people, when you give them comment, their first question would be, no, but we have been doing this. Why should we do that? Why should we do how you're saying? You are working for someone, right? You're working for users. You are creating, you are enhancing yourself as a technical writer. What would that person gain by demeaning you? When the person, or when your manager, when your peer is giving you one feedback, that is to make it, that is to make your content better. So take it constructively. Do not be very defensive that she always gives me 10 comments. She's giving you 10 comments to make it better, not for demeaning you. So keep that in your mind. And fifth, very important, thank the reviewers. You have put your time in documentation. Fair enough. Of course, you are doing the documentation, you are a technical writer, but the reviewer has taken their time to review your comment. So thank them for their insights. Couple of comment pitfalls and how I have learned to avoid them, and it works. First, do not give vague comments. Be specific, like we talked before. Do not over edit the style. It is their document. You have been given the document to do a peer review or review. Do not make a lot of changes there. If the style is good, even if you feel that this is not how I would write, it's okay. Just adhere to the style guide, adhere to the clarity. Do not be give too much comments or be too late while giving the comments. Give early and give to the point comments. Do not use personal tones. It is again about being neutral. It is not about you as a reviewer, it is about user documentation. And do not skip context when going through a documentation. Read the whole section, not just one sentence. Even if you have been given for reviewing one sentence that has been added, read the whole section, whether it makes sense in that, whether it is making sense in the whole feature documentation. Some of the feedback frameworks that I have seen people using, that even I have used, one is a ladder of feedback, which is basically, what does this term mean, which is clarity, whether this intro flows really well, whether the content is adding value to the documentation. Suggest, For example, if you feel there's an illustration that can be added, there's a diagram that can be added to make the content better, suggest and raise concerns when you think that it is maybe there's an accessibility issue or there's a protocol that's not being followed in the documentation. Raise the concerns. You are a reviewer, you have to raise concerns, but politely. The second is rise. This is something that, like I said before, I use this formula, which is if it is readable, if it is understandable, it is easy to understand, if the information is complete, if the information is clear, and whether the tone and structure of the documentation is engaging enough. And then checklist, you can create checklist of your own. You can have a set of checklists like clarity, consistency, and then based on that you can do the feedback or you can create your review processes. Some of the common tools that I have seen commonly used in industry is Microsoft Word, great for tracking comments, for inline comments. OneNote, it's handy when you are brainstorming, you have to take quick notes. GitHub, especially if you're working on docs as code, it really helps in version control and pull requests and giving comments there. SharePoint, it is something which is very common in organizations, and it is more common when you are doing a whole documentation review. So these are a couple of common tools that we use generally. You can have your own tools. Many organizations use their internal tools like questionnaires, polls. You can use such tools as well. And so feedback is about building a feedback process, building a review process in the workflow. You can schedule regular peer reviews. I'll give you an example. In one of my previous organizations, where it was a very small team, we were 3 or 4 writers working on different products. We used to have review Fridays every alternative Fridays, where we would exchange our documents and we would do a peer review. So you can schedule such reviews. I mean, that depends on your team, that depends on the product that you have been working, that depends on how your process is. Second is set expectations. When you are giving the document for a feedback process or for review process, just say that this is the feature. I want you to see if my language and if the consistency and style and grammar are okay. I am sure about feature because I have already taken a review from the SME, or I was documenting with my SME, so I know that this product and the feature documentation is correct. But I want you to help me in understanding if I am adhering to the style guide, if my tone and maybe sometimes grammar is also correct. You can use templates or guidelines to standardize comments, that do not put vague comments, or you can have a set of rules when you have integrated review process. And you can track versions, document decisions, that again, in every versions you can ask people that keep the version, that this is version 1.1 and I have got comments into it, I save it for my future reference. So you can have such feedback workflows in your team. And fifth, lastly, encourage learning and respecting. Make sure the feedback processes, whether receiving or giving, is respecting. You respect when you are giving the feedback, you respect when you're getting a feedback. It is really very important, because trust me, in my career I have realized that every time I've got a feedback and I have worked on the same thing the second time, I have improved a lot by getting regular feedbacks, by getting regular review processes. And that's why I love feedbacks. I love review processes, because I know that when I ask for feedback, I would get something, either it'll be good or I'll get something that would help me learn. So that is it. Sorry. The summary is, if you get good feedback, it improves writing, it improves collaboration, and feedback is all about focusing on user experiences. I'm so sorry. And it is also about how you respect when you get a feedback or when you give a feedback. It helps your team, it helps your building your team as well, because you become friendly when you're receiving feedback or when you're giving a feedback. So finally, when you start applying techniques and when done right, feedback can be a great tool, especially for technical writers. So that's it. One activity that I had, if given an opportunity, one change that you will make in your team or in your organization in how you give or receive the feedback. That's it. That was my time.
Yes, thank you, Sneha. The session was quite insightful, and I'm sure the audience will agree with me. And that's a wrap for today's session. A huge
Thank you.
thanks to Sneha for walking us through the topic. I hope the insights shared tonight gave everyone a clearer understanding of how to receive and respond to constructive feedback effectively in technical writing. To everyone who tuned in, thank you for taking your time to be here and for all your great questions and comments. We'll be sharing the session recording and slides soon, so keep an eye out for that. And of course, if you have more questions or want to learn more about Document 360, feel free to reach out. We'll be soon with another session soon. Thank you. See you next time. Would you like to share a few words, Neha?
Thank you, Shiba, and thank you, Document 360, for having me here. This is one topic that I love talking about, so it was a pleasure for me to talk about feedback and review process. I just hope the audience is taking something from this webinar and I've helped them understand or maybe clarify even 10% of what they expected. So, thank you so much to you and also to all the people who joined here.
Yeah. Thank you, Sneha. Have a nice day.
You
Thank
too.
you
Thank
all
you.
for joining. Yeah. Bye.